Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. So today I made some little window pane cutouts that I'm going to put on some different backgrounds. So I started out thinking that I wanted to make some kind of spider web to put in my Halloween journal, the one I didn't finish last year, that I plan on finishing up this year. And I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between a couple of journals, and so I make some ephemera for one, and then I make some for the other, and you kind of you know how you do. You kind of get your energy, your focus, kind of you lose it on one, and so you bounce to another one. So I've been bouncing around. So that's what started this. So I thought a spider web would be cool, but rather than just drawing a spider web on something, or using a glitter pen, that kind of stuff, I wanted something with a lot more texture. So I made this, and all I did was I took a piece, let me show you. I took a piece of this paintable wallpaper, and then I drew a little spider web on the back, and I'll show you in a minute how I did that. It's just a ruler and some little webbing, and so then I cut it out, and I cut out every other cell to make this kind of open work sort of look. Now, I had already painted this piece of scrap. It was a scrap of this paintable wallpaper, and I had already painted it with a little bit of watercolor paint. So it doesn't have a lot of color, but it is kind of gold watercolor. So I don't know if you can see on camera. It's a little shiny down inside, but the top is kind of vinyl-y, so it doesn't pick it up. But I want to show you the magic of doing this. So I did this one, and then I started playing with it, and then I thought, ooh, I could make a flower, and I could make a feather or a leaf, depending on what you put behind it. But the magic of this is that you can do so many different things with it, and what you put behind it changes the feel so much. So I just want to show you. So this is just a piece of painted Braille paper, and I just want to show you the different looks that you can get. So this is really grungy. I like this one, but it's not too dark because it has kind of pinks and greens and stuff. So the colors aren't real dark, but it is pretty grungy looking. So I'll show you that one, and then I'll show you how the flower looks on it. So the flower kind of fades into it because of the color scheme. And then we have the leaf or the feather, depending on how you look at it. I think it's kind of a feather. I made it to be more of a feather. I think a leaf, I might have done every other kind of one and stuff, and maybe shaped it a little bit differently. So you can see that. Here's another one. This is just a piece of paper that I had done. This is a piece of book page. It has a picture on the back. Ooh, the picture's cool. Let's look at that. Oh, that's neat looking. Oh, I love that behind the spider web. We might have had a winter chicken dinner here. I had planned on putting something else behind that spider web. I'd narrowed it down to a couple other choices, but I didn't look at the back of this. Okay, so I'm loving that. But I did bring it out because I wanted to show you. I just have this. This is kind of the smush technique. All I did was use some inks and some water and smush the paper into it. So again, you get kind of a really different background depending on where you put it. Right. So those are pretty. I liked this one particularly for the flower. So this is just a piece of dyed notebook paper. I put a stencil on it, and I sprayed some watercolor paint over it. And you can see it kind of ran together here, but that's okay. I thought the flower in particular looked really good with this because it was just like another flower behind it. So you get a lot of layering there. I thought that was really neat. I like that one a lot. I'll show you how it looks with the spider web too. I didn't think there was enough contrast really with the spider web. And that one's pretty. So very pretty. I have a different idea for this though. I'm just going to kind of flip through and show you some of the different. So these are all scrapbook pages. This came from a magazine, like an art magazine. So you see, you just get really different different looks depending on what paper you put behind it. This is a piece of rice paper, so it's very thin, very busy. It almost looks Christmassy with that. I wonder if you could do like a Christmas spider. That might be fun, right? Here's one again. I just pulled out some stuff from my pink stack. So I have a drawer and I just pulled like pinky things out. So that one kind of blends a little. This has a little more contrast. This one has a very bright and happy feel to it when you put it on that, as opposed to that tree, which I really loved. I thought this was nice because you get, you know, more of a solid look behind it, but there's still a little bit of design back there, right? Okay, and then this, of course, is a scrapbook paper as well. This one's kind of fun because of the marbling. You can kind of move it around and get the different colors. So that was pretty. I think it depended on what I wanted to do with it. You know, again, kind of pretty. That might be fun for like a morning kind of layout, you know, like early in the morning. So you can too choose specific papers. Like this, you might put that one there, and you know, maybe this one. You know, you could glue them down in a row, you know, to get something like that, which I think is a really nice look. I like that look a lot with those papers. I also have a scrap. Here's another scrap. This is a wallpaper border with just a little bit of flowers and the writing. I thought the writing was really cool here, especially turning it this way and getting a little bit of the flower here and then like the A there. That was kind of nice if you were looking for a letter, if you wanted to, you know, write something, you wanted to write art or something, you wanted to write have the A there, and then you could write the RT out beside it. This one's not quite big enough for this. Then I wanted to show you some pictures. I thought this was really interesting. So this is just from a magazine. It's just a fashion magazine picture. But I love this, so I kept this picture. So I thought, I mean, you could kind of do this, but I think if you arrange it just a little bit so that you still keep her face down here, like you keep her eyes and stuff. So I think that would be super cool because you've got the flower and then her face, and it's like it's peeking out at you. So I think, you know, that's almost something I think you could put in the Halloween journal as well. Like that might go in on a dark background, and it's like she's looking out through the flower, or the flower has eyes or a face, you know, or if you wanted to just put the eyes in, if you wanted to cut the part with just the eyes and put that in peeking out, I thought that would be a pretty cool look. Another thing I thought would be cool is if I wanted a picture. This is a picture of a painting. It's from a painting book, Nature's Wonderland. It's a painting book. So I thought this was cool, but the idea that I will use the whole painting in something is probably not so much what I would do. I mean, it's possible, but it's probably not real likely. But I really like the picture. And if I do something like this, then I get to save looking at the picture, but I'm looking at it through the lens of a flower, which is kind of a different perspective. It's almost kaleidoscopic, which I still think is cool though, because you still have the mountain and the sky and the trees and a little bit of the water. You can even move it down a little bit and get more of the water and the ground down here, you know, or turn it different directions to get different. So my flower is not exactly round. So, you know, whichever way I turn it will change what I see. So I thought that was a really cool perspective. So this is something that I could keep the main idea of the picture without having the whole picture. Now, along those lines, I thought if I were making a scrapbook, and I had like a faraway picture of somebody. You know, sometimes you take some of those pictures where people are far away and they're waving, hey, you know, on top of the Disneyland sign or something. You know, it's like you're far away, but you're backed up so you can see something. Wouldn't it be cool to cut out a design, and then you get pieces of the picture and the person, and then that becomes the focus, like you don't have all of this other distraction. So I think that would be a really cool way to go. I also think this would be a cool way to go if you had a bunch of photographs of like cityscapes or something. Now, I don't know about you guys, but like when I take pictures, when I'm on vacation and I take pictures, I take like 20 pictures at a time. Now, the lovely thing, of course, about digital photography is that then you can go back later and toss 19 of them and just keep the best one. But even then, I still sometimes feel like I end up with things that I really didn't want to take a picture of, or, you know, I kept it, but I don't know what to do with it. And whether or not I actually put it in a scrapbook, I don't scrapbook too much anymore with photos, but I used to. And so something like this, I think, would be an excellent use of that. So you still get some of the cityscape here, like you could choose a building, or you could go this way to get the height of a building or a window frame there, you know, and so you can keep a piece of the picture. You could even go this way and get two of the buildings across here, but you have it in a form that maybe is friendlier to a journal, because then you can either glue it down, or you could, you know, glue it to the picture and then back it. This is a magazine photo, and then back it with cardstock and write about it. So you could journal about that. So you have a picture of a friend or something, you know, or someplace you went, or a sign or something, you know, that would be kind of cool. So I think that's another way to do it. I also think that you can use things like scraps. So sometimes I just go through my scrapbook, my scrap bag, and put, you know, I just glue scraps on paper to make backgrounds. This is on a magazine page, so a lot of times I do that just to glue things down, and you know, then it kind of cuts down on my scraps, and I have some basic background things made when I want to do something else with them. So I think this is an excellent use of something like that. You could turn it different ways and get different looks. So this is kind of cool. If you move it up a little, I like that with the green here and the kind of orange, and this. You could go this way. See that leaf? So I have several of those. This is a little more, you know, plain in the background, but depending on what you're after, if you're going to do something else with this, and this is just going to be an element on something larger, you might want just text in the background. You could just use a plain book page. Let's see what else. This one has color, so that would create kind of a pretty wild color scheme there with that. Let's see how this looks. I like that a lot. Yeah, actually I like that a lot with this color, kind of browny red, kind of goes with this. Yeah, that's nice. Here's a piece that has some painting. It's more music page. That's pretty. Something like that, where you get some of the green, some of the different colors. Definitely a nice choice. I also have these. I do this sometimes with leftover pieces of tissue paper. So this is just a piece of notebook paper, and then I just spread glue on it, and I start sticking down extra pieces of napkins or tissue paper. The gray back there is a napkin. The stripes and the dots are tissue papers, and then there's just got a pattern piece over the top of it, because the colors are pretty bright, and it's really white, and I want to sort of marry it all and obscure it all. but it makes a lovely background. So, you know, you get something like this where you have, you know, this really lovely kind of symmetry to it. You get some of the polka dots, and you can move it around so that you get some of the stripes, some of the polka dots. You know, you could put the dots in the middle, right? So that one's really pretty. Let's see how this looks on it. I like it a little better over here. I think with this, right now I'm just loving that one picture. And then I also do that with bits of lace. So all I do is I take a piece of paper, and again, I just use notebook paper because I just use whatever the first thing is that kind of falls out of my, I have like a drawer that's like, here's scrap paper. So I have notebook paper in there. And so I just use a little bit of glue stick, like I put some glue stick on it, and I just kind of stick the lace down. It's not enough glue to hold it for very long, but it will hold it long enough for me to take it to the sewing machine so I can kind of, you know, spread it out. And then I just sewed around the edges and kind of, you can see just all over the place, just crazy whatever. So I have all these pieces of lace and they're kind of stuck down, and they make kind of a nice background too. So I think this might be the one that I'm going to use the flower on. I had originally thought I might do this on it because I liked the idea of the kind of gossamer lace behind that with the gold in the middle. But now that I've seen that tree, I don't know. This is nice too, I think, because you can kind of move it down and get some different kinds of lace behind it, right? And I just did all these. This one I showed you with that paintable wallpaper. This is with a piece of music paper, obviously, again, that I had just kind of used a smush technique on, and I drew on one side and cut it out, and then you can flip it. So you can flip it either way. If you have something brighter, if you don't want that color, you know, if I didn't want the color, I could do that or that. And then this was just made from a piece of paper bag that I had wadded up and then kind of smushed some ink around on. Okay. All right, so let me show you what I did. I drew on the back because the front is very textured. If you're going to use something like paintable wallpaper and you're going to want to paint it, you should paint it first. It will be much easier to paint it before you start cutting it out. So I said I was going to show you. Well, I think you probably know how to do a spider web, but I will show you. Let me grab another sheet of paper. Because I have a different something I want to do with this one. So we'll do the spider web. We'll do a spider web on here. So I find it easier to do a spider web with a ruler. You can definitely freehand this, but I can't ever draw a straight line. So, you know, if you don't really care if the line is straight, it's not a big deal. But the easiest way to draw a spider web is to just kind of do a little crisscross. I'm missing a little bit of a corner there. And it doesn't, you know, this doesn't have to be perfect. Right? It's not about perfect. I just like some straight lines to start with, and you can see I've already kind of gotten off kilter a little bit there in the middle. So you can do more if you want more lines, but then your spaces will be a lot smaller to cut. So at this point now, I'm just going to kind of make a little curve to connect those lines. And spider webs, remember, are not perfect. I mean, sometimes you see a perfect one, but not very often. Usually, you know, because the spiders are using them. I mean, they're using them to catch their food, right? So the web is kind of patched and mishmash and all of that. So, you know, if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. And so I'm just gonna draw out some little things to make my spider web. So if you're interested in the spider web, that was probably the most complicated thing I drew. But I do want to show you, I'm going to try, I haven't tried like kind of just a geometric shape yet, so I want to try just something kind of geometric. So that's what I want to do with the wallpaper one there, because it's smaller. Let's see. I'll do one more. One more round here. Okay, and then the trick is then to just cut out every other one. You want to start in the middle. And if you want to know what to cut, you might even want to, you know, so you don't get confused, do this so you know which ones to cut. Right? Start in the middle and work your way out, because as you get to the edges, some of those pieces will get, boy, that one's really wonky, isn't it? Let's redraw that. Some of those pieces will get a little flimsy. And so if you start in the middle while you still have some stability on the outside, it will be much easier to cut those. Okay. Right. Oh, you know what? I should cut that. I do want to cut the outer piece first, and then I'll start in the middle with cutting things out. I don't know which ones. I don't know where my outside edge is yet. I said start in the middle, but I'm just cutting the outer edge so I know where my shape is, because I kind of messed that one up there and it sort of confused me. There we go. Okay. So, and then I'm going to cut this one off, and I'm going to cut this one off. So all of those that I have marked, I will then go in and cut out, and you will get something that looks like this. You can use bigger scissors or you can use smaller ones. I have a pair of small ones that I use, and I just kind of start by, you know, making a little slit in the middle. If you don't have really tiny little scissors in your craft room, you might have a pair of manicure scissors. That's what these are. The only real difference is these have a curve to them, which is kind of nice if you're going around a curve, as long as you use that curve to your advantage to work with the curve of whatever you're cutting, you're in good shape. So start in the middle and trim it out. Doing this kind of quickly because we're standing here on camera, and I know you don't really need to watch me cut everything, right? But I just want you to get the idea of how this will look. So, right, okay, so do that, and then do each of these and work your way around. So work your way out to the ones, you know, I think if you color it in, it helps. Then when you turn it over, you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna have this side. If you want to outline it, you can. This, I drew it on the back and cut it. You can see I used a marker, and the marker went through to the other side. So I went ahead and just, you know, did a little outline. So it's really just then a matter of cutting. And I'll finish cutting that in a second. But right now I want to try a geometric kind of shape. So here's my thought. I'm wondering, you know, you could definitely just do kind of window pane shapes, but I'm wondering if I did, like, how's this gonna look if I do kind of some wonky, wonky shapes. So I would leave this. I'd probably cut this out. And cut this out. And maybe one more something over here, maybe a circle. And then I would cut this out, right? Oh, I don't know if I could cut this out or not. That would be good if I could. I'd like to cut that too. You can always get out an X-Acto knife, but I'm not very good with X-Acto knives, so I try to avoid using them. If it's possible for me to use a pair of scissors, then I will definitely do that, because I'm sure part of it is that my blade probably isn't sharp enough, but I have this fear that if I put a really sharp blade on it, that I'm going to end up really, slicing my finger open. So, probably because I've, sliced my finger open on so many things. And by the way, I did see, and when I did this and I did this kind of outline, I did this the same way. I drew just like a really loose flower, and then I went back and drew like heavy lines so that there would be something to cut around that would give me a pattern. So let's see how this looks. I'm curious because I haven't really done a geometric shape, and I think that might be fun, and it might be fun to definitely put different things behind each one, almost like little windows. I think you could do it like little windows. Maybe put person in one and background another. You might even use different parts of the same picture. That might be kind of cool. So right now I'm just kind of going to town with this whole little window pane idea. I don't know, like I said, I started out thinking I wanted to do the spider web and not really knowing how I could make that more interesting. And then as I got to messing with it, I started thinking about a paper cut book that I was looking at the other day that had all these beautiful paper cuts that these Japanese artists had done. And they were intricate and lovely, I can tell you. Way more patience than I had. And then also, I was thinking too about some silhouettes. I had gotten a silhouette book lately. Let's see. I think I'm going to wait and see. I probably should have cut that small little piece out first. Here I am. I told you guys to cut the little pieces out first, in the center. Cut the center pieces out first, and then I ignored my own advice. So, but let's see how this looks. We'll see how this turns out. I'm just curious. At this point, I'm just playing with stuff. And that's the fun of having junk journals and paper crafts and things like that is to just play with it, and it's so much fun to just see what all you can make. I think you could do, any fairly simple design without too much trouble. The biggest thing is, what can you cut out? Like, how intricate do you want the cutouts to be? I think if you want to do something like this on a Christmas one and back it with different kinds of wrapping paper, it would be really cool. And I was thinking too, if you had if you went to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, or one of those places and bought one of the super simple kids coloring books where everything is kind of a basic shape. See, oh no, that's kind of cool, isn't it? That's neat. Let's see, it looks like it goes through there. Let me see if I can cut this out. It's small. I think though that you could just use something like that. You could probably just go online and get free coloring pages if you have a good printer. You could print them. Maybe something that's wrapping paper. It would be fun to, if you have kids or grandkids, to let them color something really simple and tell them that you're going to cut part of it apart and use it for something. Now this is cool. That's cool. So let's see. So I think, yeah. Yeah, that's neat because you can just actually choose different backgrounds. Over here we could maybe do, yeah, where we get mostly the polka dots and stuff. That one's neat. Something like this, definitely. Let's look at one of those pictures. Let's try that picture again. See, now that's kind of neat because you could, in essence, put that there. You know, like if you wanted to do it this way, you could cut it this way, cut another one here, and then cut another one of the rock. So you would end up with, you know, different little, see, and you can kind of line that up with the incline so it looks like he's going up the incline there. That might be fun. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'm going to finish cutting this one out, and I'm going to put these on some backgrounds, and then I will bring them back to show you how they look finished. And it's really just a matter of gluing, so you don't need to see me glue. I will pick some backgrounds and I will be back. Okay, I have glued everything down and cut it out, and I want to show you the results. I really love this one with that tree behind it. I just think it's really a cool look. It's not what I had originally thought I was going to put back there, but I'm thinking for my Halloween journal that's a really great choice. And I could, if I wanted to, just journal on the back. Oh, I seem to have ink or something on me. I could journal on the back, or I could put something else, you know, a little more stiff on the back if I wanted to. It's pretty flexible because it's just paper. But the back is finished looking because I had painted the paper to start with, and so it's got that on the back. So I don't really have to do anything else to it. It might be interesting to use it as a flip out, to like flip it on a corner and have it come out this way. So that might be an interesting way to do that. I love this one as well. This is on a magazine page, so it would definitely need something on the back. It's very flimsy. It reminded me, when I saw this with her eyes and stuff peeking out, it reminded me of a short story, I think it's by Nathaniel Hawthorne, called Rappaccini's Daughter, in which this kind of mad scientist, it's a gothic story, and this guy ends up turning his daughter basically into a poisonous plant. Like, she has the properties of the poisonous plant, so anybody who touches her or kisses her or anything is poisoned. So I thought that this was kind of reminiscent of that. So this will be a lot of fun. I'm thinking that she might get a dress or a body or something, and she might also go in that Halloween journal. This one I showed you, I really like that piece of the layered paper. It's got several different kinds of paper behind it, and I think that one looks really nice. Again, it probably, because it's on a piece of magazine page that I originally did the layering on, it will need a piece of cardstock on the back, or it will need to be glued down into the book, onto the page. This one, I thought I would show you what I meant about like cutting out different pieces of the picture. So I looked at the picture, and the two people became the focal points of these two little pieces, and then this is some of the rocks that they were climbing on, so it's kind of a, makes like a little journey here for them. It sort of reminded me of Sisyphus, pushing a boulder uphill. And then this one was the last one we cut out, but it was the first one I glued down, and I can tell you, I foolishly thought I could use a glue stick, but I tore several of the pieces, and so lesson learned on the rest of them, I used just plain white glue. And so I glued them down and pressed them, and then I turned them over, and I used a brayer to make sure everything got connected well with the paper. You could always put it under a book if you had something that wasn't very flat. You know, weigh it down under a book for a few minutes and let it set. So this one I think actually needs a little bit of work. I like the paper behind it, but the web gets lost, and it's a little plain. So I thought I would grab a marker. Let's see, what color do we want? I don't think I want black. I think maybe kind of a berry something. And then sort of just give it a little bit of definition. Just so it's not kind of, it's sort of lost on that background paper, but I know I just picked this paper up to show you guys how I did it, so I didn't really think it through when I picked it up. I just kind of picked it up. I'm thinking I should have used maybe a fatter marker. We'll see. Although this is kind of giving a little bit of nice definition here, just a little. This is more dream catcher, I think, than that spider web. Although it is definitely still, you know, spider webs don't have to be, you know, black and foreboding. Spider webs are, you know, some of the most beautiful things I think you'll see in nature. When you see one in the morning with the dew on it, I think they're really beautiful. So yeah, I'm liking this better already with the marker. And it's okay again if it's not perfect. This is not the final state. This is just kind of how it's going to go into my stash so that I can, you know, do something to it later. Maybe put a spider on it. Maybe use it in a larger collage. I'm wondering about putting some little pearls, because I tore it in several places. It doesn't quite match, you know, it doesn't quite meet up where it should maybe on the paper. Apparently I didn't get it glued down quite on all the edges either. So this is looking a little rough, isn't it? But the good news is things that look rough in the beginning, you can keep working on until they don't look rough anymore. Or you can work with the rough and embrace it and be like, oh yeah, well, you know, that's how it's meant to be. I think when you just embrace the imperfections, it just makes it more beautiful, you know, because things, when you go out into nature and look at things, they're not perfect. You know, the flowers, every petal is not the same size, and it's not, you know, doesn't necessarily stand up the same. Many of the petals, you know, droop a little bit on one side, and, you know, that's just because it gets more sun on one side, or, you know, or it hasn't got enough water, so it's drooping a little bit. You know, or it's in some state of blooming. I mean, once the bloom is there, that is, you know, it opens, and that is the height of the bloom. It's like it's not going to get any better. It's only going to kind of, you know, decay and wilt from there. That's much better, I think. So, you know, don't worry too much. So I have some pearls, and I thought I might. They're kind of stick on, so we'll see if they don't stick very well. I've got my glue gun handy, but I was kind of thinking that maybe along, because this is you know, where I tore it was along the edges there, of course, where I was cutting, because that's where it's thin. So as soon as I did this with a glue stick, it, you know, it definitely just came apart. So maybe some little pearls at those little joints would be a way to help hold it together, to disguise some of the problems with it. Oops. Get over there. These sticky pearls are, you know, work pretty well usually, but sometimes you gotta fight with the sticky so that it goes where you want it to go instead of out to the side like that. And, you know, I mean, spider webs are geometry, so I think if we emphasize the geometry of it, you know, that just kind of adds another layer of meaning to it, maybe, in a way. Let's do another one over here. And this way. And I think this, and see, I think the pearls are really adding something and making it much nicer. I like this much better this way. So even if you have something that you look at it and you think, man, I don't really love that, keep working on it. Do something else to it, add something else to it. Don't throw it away though, you know, and if you can't think of anything else to do to it right then, you know, put it in your stash, set it aside, because at some point you're going to come across it and you're going to be like, oh, I know what I could do to that. And you're going to do something to it and it's going to fit in beautifully with some other project that you have, you know. So give yourself time to think about it, because sometimes you just, you know, you just need to think about it for a little while. It's not, you know, just because you don't immediately know how to fix something doesn't mean it's not worth fixing. Right? So if you think of something to fix it, try it. If you don't, set it aside. Because that is much better than it was. I like that a lot better. So that is something I would actually put into a journal. So now I think it needs maybe a spider coming down, something in a pale color, or some butterflies off to the side. It could have, it could be more of a dream catcher, you know, with you know, and I can have some strings coming out from it. Right, definitely something I could put on a page in my journal. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed today. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing so that you don't miss any content. Remember, until next time, use what you have to make your life more beautiful. Bye.